Welcome to the 7-Minute Marketing Podcast with your host, Pam Didner. As a leading marketing and sales enablement strategist, keynote speaker, and author, Pam created this podcast to share her professional experience and insights and help you achieve better alignment between sales and marketing. If you enjoy this podcast, please share it with your colleagues and leave a review on iTunes. Now let's get started.
I have huge respect for salespeople. I do. Personally, I don't think I'm cut out to be a sales rep. The reason is that I don't take rejection well. I take everything personally, as if it's my fault. So being told, no thanks, 20 to 30 times a day is going to crush me. Needless to say, I haven't been doing any cold calls. My leads tend to come from referrals, workshop, and organic outreach from my website. And it has worked fairly well for me. But I want to increase my sales pipeline, so I decided to give virtual cold calls a try. There are many ways to do that. And I decided to use LinkedIn's Sales Navigator and emailed, since many of my prospects are on LinkedIn anyway. I knew I couldn't do this alone. I also knew that I needed someone to help me out. Sean Anthony found me via virtual cold calls on LinkedIn. And I didn't respond to his email right away, but I liked the content that he shared, and also he talked about his approaches. He's a bit salesy, but not too salesy. So I decided to reach out. Plus, he specializes in lead generation and customer acquisition using LinkedIn. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. So the first thing that we did is to identify my ideal customer profile, which is ICP. I told him my peeps are B2B enterprise marketers in the manufacturing, healthcare, and the financial services segments. He also drilled down on my ICP's pain points and challenges. At the same time, I shared with him my offerings. I help B2B marketers in content marketing, sales enablement, and account-based marketing. Based on my offerings and my ICP's pain points and challenges, we worked together to rewrite my headline and the profile summary on LinkedIn. We wanted to make sure that it's very clear that people know exactly what I do and offer. In the past, I emphasized my corporate experience, authorships, and the speakership in the headline, but it really didn't help explain what I do for my clients. So we changed that. So here is my new headline: Accelerating B2B marketers' contribution to sales with content, sales enablement, and account-based marketing using proven methodology. I emphasize the keywords of content, sales enablement, and account-based marketing. I also explained that I have a process to do that. And using different words, we also created a tagline so that I can place below my signature on my LinkedIn. And this is my tagline. Very similar. Helping B2B marketing teams increase sales velocities through content, sales enablement, and account-based marketing. So you can tell it's very similar. And the tagline is really part of the email, and people can immediately understand what I do without going into my profile. The next things that we did is to tackle the profile summary. I started by sharing my passion for creating alignment between sales and marketing. I followed that with the 3 main challenges that marketers encounter. Then move on to explain how I address these 3 challenges. I moved the blurbs about authorships and the speakerships to the experience section. So people search on speakers for specific marketing topics can still find me. So here's a quick side note. I have changed my LinkedIn headline and profile at least 20 times in the past 5 years. The reason is that my expertise and experience continue to grow. Therefore, I need to constantly update my value propositions to reflect that. Plus, the secret of writing is really rewriting. It's amazing that I can constantly find better ways to explain who I am and what I do. A value proposition is not something you do and then just check off. You need to constantly evaluate what you do and what you can offer in order to be competitive. Once we were done with ICP, headline, profile, and the tagline, now we were ready to approach virtual cold calling. And for this, we carefully crafted a sequence of 5 emails. The first email is very simple and short, that prospects know that I'm reaching out because we share some mutual connections. Something simple like that is actually working to entice people to accept my invitation to connect. The second email is a thank you for connecting email and asks the prospects whether I can be a resource to them. It finishes by letting them know they can reach out to me anytime if they want to explore opportunities to work together. The third email is a value add email. I created a relevant blog post for my ICP. I shared the link with them and asked for their feedback. The fourth email is a meeting ask. I follow up and check if they read my content. I also ask if they are open to a phone call or a chat. The fifth email is the final email. In it, I remind them what I do and ask them to contact me if they ever need any help in the areas of content marketing, sales enablement, and account-based marketing. I also share a free chapter from my latest book, Effective Sales Enablement. I use Sales Navigator to find prospects and reach out to a small number of prospects every day. It does require me to stay on top of it and follow through with them consistently. And here are some of my findings after 8 weeks of virtual outreach. Approximately 35% of the people we reach out accept my initial invitation. Out of the 35%, 80% failed to respond to further email, and 19% of them say no thank you after the third or fourth email. Only 1% request a meeting. And out of that 1%, 50% actually attend a meeting. And the first 90 days are usually kind of like a testing and experimentation where we try to achieve a message to market match. But here is my biggest finding. What we have noticed is that the manufacturing companies with 51 to 1,000 employees have the best response rate, while large enterprise and companies with 5,001 to 10,000 plus employees have a poor response rate. They just don't respond to my email well. And that was counterintuitive to me initially. Well, since my experience is enterprise, therefore I try to align my enterprise experience with enterprise customers, right? But that's not the case. Granted, my experience is enterprise, but the prospects that need my help and expertise are the companies that are growing into being an enterprise. Does that make sense? They are going through growing pains and have so much to do. On top of it, they also need strategy help. And that's really my sweet spot. That's where I can provide the most value add. So as a result of that, our focus for month 3 will be on companies with the size of 51 to 1,000 employees. So another thing to share with everybody is kind of like a personal observation. For people who say no, some of them appreciate the useful content I share. But for some people, they are kind of nasty. They are saying things like, hey, you know what? I don't appreciate you looking for jobs on LinkedIn. Well, you know what? That's what LinkedIn is for. People on LinkedIn to find jobs or work. That's the way it is. But I understand their frustration of getting cold calls. I get it. I don't like that either. Since the purchase cycle for the prospects to engage with me is about 8 to 12 months, I'm planning to run this outreach for several months to see how it goes. More updates to come. So my question to you is, do you do any virtual cold calls? How did that go? Share your experience with me, and let's keep learning from each other. All right? Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your colleagues and leave a review on iTunes.